Exterior, the Star of Apollo, Indian Ocean, night. Titans Team 5, Tempest, Zephyr, Cheshire, and Bushido, has infiltrated the ship known as the Star of Apollo as part of their first mission. Oracle is on communications, instructing them on the next phase of their assignment.
Get into your positions and take control of the bridge. That's where your target is. Oracle, out.
Tempest and Zephyr stand at their position, the leader of Team 5 speaking into his wrist communicator.
Zephyr and I are in position. Bushido, status.
In position.
Cheshire, status.
Interior, the Star of Apollo, boiler room, night. The ninja known as Cheshire drops into the boiler room, surveying the area as guards patrol it.
Status, Cheshire.
Give me a minute.
Cheshire charges, swiftly taking down the first guard by hopping onto his shoulders and throwing him into the wall with her legs. Spinning onto her hands, Cheshire disarms the other two with swift kicks and paralyzes the both of them with skilled use of pressure points. Exhaling and seeing the men writhe near her feet, she raises her communicator.
Boiler room secure.
Get into position.
Understood.
Exterior, the Star of Apollo, Indian Ocean, night.
Converge in 3, 2, 1, go.
Tempest and Zephyr run toward the bridge, the former using the water around them to form ice maces in each hand. Zephyr holds a hand out toward the guards ahead, mystical energy swirling around it.
Morosid eats Straug.
Each of the guards look up as their weapons float just above their reach. Tempest leaps into battle, smashing his maces into the poorly armored guards. Bushido and Cheshire join in, the three taking down the opposition within minutes. Zephyr dodges multiple strikes from two guards before getting into the right enough range.
Nismet Utni eat Kinneard.
A mystical blast from the sorcerer's hand sends the guards after him into the water, Zephyr smirking before joining his teammates.
Let's get this over with, shall we?
Interior, the Star of Apollo, bridge, night. Guard after guard fall due to the team's efforts, Tempest kicking open the door to the bridge. The captain, Kyle Rhodes, holds up his hands, rolling his eyes.
It is time for you to walk the plank, Rhodes.
Cheshire groans at the joke, with Zephyr moving behind the captain of the ship and binding his wrists.
Control, the target is captured.
Excellent, Team 5. Extraction portal is on its way.
A large raven made out of dark energy appears, spreading its wings and revealing a portal in its center. Bushido and Cheshire go in first with their captive, with Zephyr starting to follow. The young mystic turns to see his leader looking toward the sea.
What's wrong?
Something's wrong with the sea. It's too calm.
I'm sure it's nothing. Maybe Aquaman's finally taking care of Black Manta and there's no unrest down below.
Maybe. Come on.
Zephyr walks through the portal, Tempest looking back at the eerily calm waters one last time before going through himself. Interior, Titan's main hub, night. Team 5 teleports in after taking Rhodes to the authorities, Nightwing greeting them.
Nice work. Rhodes was in international danger, and thanks to your efforts, he'll spend the rest of his life behind bars.
Or until someone casually breaks him out. If there are no more missions for me, I'm going to go home and get some shut-eye.
As will I. Thank you, Tempest-san, for a successful mission.
Cheshire and Bushido leave the group, Nightwing looking at Tempest.
So, what do you have for us next?
At the moment, nothing. You alright, Garth?
I'm fine.
He's probably just thinking about new training sessions. He's pretty tough on us.
Well, anyway, good work.
The detective walks away, Zephyr sighing and glancing at Tempest.
What are you thinking, Garth? You've been contemplating something ever since we got off of the ship.
It's nothing.
Nothing is something that you give maybe 5 seconds. Your thing has had you occupied for at least a fortnight.
Zephyr places a hand on the other's shoulder, a concerned look on his face.
What's going on? Is it about...
No, it's not about that. Something is wrong. With seas, the air, everything with water in it is screaming that something is messed up down below. The problem is that I don't want anything to do with it.
Your hesitance is understandable, Garth. I mean, if that happened to me, I wouldn't want to go back.
You don't understand anything, kid.
I understand pain and loss. If you'd stop relying on your macho-ness, you'd know that.
Tempest turns to him, irritation crossing his features.
And what about you, Zephyr? I know nothing about you. None of us do.
You know that I'm the student of Zatanna, the only one she's taken in.
That's the thing. You can do magic. You can speak backwards. That's all well and good. But we don't know anything else.
You know that I'm here for you. You know that I'll stand by my team.
Do I? Or is that what you want us to think? The point is you can't trust someone who puts on a mask.
Says the guy with a mask to hide his pain. Before you start judging me for whatever I do, look at yourself. We had a successful mission and we did what we had to do. When you want to have a real conversation with someone who cares, you know where to find me.
Zephyr starts to walk away, Tempest scoffing. After a few minutes, he starts to move towards one of the hidden places in the hub, a place where only he and a few members knew of. Interior, Titan's main hub, Reminiscence Room, night. Tempest stands in the Reminiscence Room, seeing all of the fallen heroes around him. The first Blue Beetle, Jason Todd, and her. In front of him stands the hologram of a young woman, dressed in Atlantean clothing and sporting a red pixie cut. She smiles at him, standing proud, though Tempest looks at her with regret.
Tula, I shouldn't have left you with him. I shouldn't have went after Black Mana. If I didn't, you would
still be alive.
Tempest turns around to see the dark sorceress Raven, who has walked into the Reminiscence Room. He turns away from her, looking down.
Don't try to coddle me, Raven.
I won't. You messed up. You left Chula with Aquaman, who was under mind control. You'd think that if you didn't, she'd still be beside you.
She walks in front of him, folding her arms across her chest.
But she's dead, and she certainly isn't coming back.
I know that she's dead!
Then grieve. Mourn Chula, but don't let it take over your life. It's the way of acceptance.
I don't want to accept it. I don't want to forget her.
You'll never forget her. But she's gone, Garth. You have to deal with that.
Tempest looks away and finds that Raven has disappeared when glancing back at her. After looking around for a few moments, he sighs, taking the woman's words to heart. Mentally saying a last goodbye to the hologram of Tula, Tempest walks upstairs to the sleeping quarters, hoping not to dream of his lost love. Interior, Cheshire's apartment, Jump City, day. The next day, Cheshire wakes to the sounds of cars and people in the street. She sighs, getting out of the covers and setting out her outfit for the day. Her uniform is at the Titan's hub, probably being cared for by some butler. The day is hers, so why does she feel unnerved by something? She shakes her head, getting dressed.
Don't think about it, Jade. All you have to do is just occupy yourself until...
Her phone rings, the ninja answering it and smiling at the voice on the other line.
Hey, sis. No, I'm just chilling right now. Archery. What does Mom say about it? Your namesake may not be a coincidence after all, Artemis.
Someone taps on her window, Zephyr waving at Cheshire with a grin. She sighs, making a gesture for just a minute.
I have to go now, sis. A friend just knocked on my door. I'll visit soon, okay? Tell Mom I said hi. Bye.
Cheshire closes her phone, gesturing for Zephyr to come in. The young man does with a swirl of smoke, appearing in front of her.
Hey there, want to grab some coffee?
How did you even find me?
Tracking spell. Not the point. I figured that since we're teammates, we bond like teammates. Coffee drink? On me.
Remember what I said about being too eager? You're doing it.
Look, I know that I'm not as skilled with a hero game as the rest of you folks, but I'm still willing to be the glue of this team if need be, even if it takes multiple overpriced coffee drinks to win you over.
Cheshire smirks and rolls her eyes.
Okay. Let's get some coffee.
Interior, Tate's Cafe, Jump City, day. Cheshire and Zephyr sit in a booth at the somewhat popular cafe, sharing stories from high school days.
Okay, so there I was, sitting in the bleachers while the school talent show was going on, and this random dude just takes this launcher and shoots out these random hot dogs.
Hot dogs? Really?
Oh, totally. San Francisco's weird. Anyway, he launches out these hot dogs, hitting multiple people, including the principal of the school.
No way.
Yes way. This wiener just smacks our principal in the face. The guy didn't even go to our school, but...
The sound of a communicator interrupts the young man's story, the two looking down and finding that they are needed to save the world. Again.
Time to go. Oh, and by the way, next time, don't tell such a bullcrap story. The lie shines through your smile.
Zephyr frowns at the woman, sighing as he follows his teammate out of the cafe. Interior, Titan's main hub, day. Nightwing taps his foot on the ground nervously, Raven pacing around his seated position as he does so. The main three had gotten a spot of bad news, and it had to do with a certain Atlantean.
It is not that bad.
You don't understand the severity of our situation.
Garth is not going to be happy.
Let's break it to him gently. I mean, he can't break down so bad, right?
He might not break down, but he can and will break us if we're not careful with this.
Tempest walks toward the group, joined by his team. Raven sighs, looking away as he does so.
Shifty glances, tapping feet. Something tells me we're not about to like this.
Garth, we have something to tell you. Something that you're seriously not going to like. But we want you to know that we just received this news and we wanted to tell you right away.
What is this all about? Say it already.
There is a possibility that Tula's still alive.
A moment of silence comes over the scene as the news hits them all. Zephyr shakes his head, trying to make sense of it. Cheshire looks away and folds her arms across her chest. Bushido's gaze falls upon Tempest, who is sitting there in silence.
That's not possible. I mean, people don't just come back to life, especially not...
Zephyr.
There has to be proof.
Surveillance cameras around London have spotted a woman matching Tula's description basically to a T.
She's been traveling with a group of known criminals, and we are under the suspicion that they are planning something big.
So what? We save the apparent damsel in distress? It seems that she's in on it.
That's why we're assigning your team to go to their next destination. Paris, France.
I don't think I can teleport that far without losing one of us.
That's why we're flying you out there. Pack your bags. Plane leaves in 3 hours.
Interior, Titan's main hub. Members' red quarters. Day. Tempest and Zephyr gather their things in silence in the hub's red quarters, the latter sighing and throwing a shirt into his suitcase.
This isn't right.
Gee, what tipped you off?
I mean it, Garth. I'm all for saving a life, but the dead should stay dead.
You are so ready to voice your opinion, aren't you? Ready to speak out against every tiny injustice? You never think about the other people. Never think about the people who are actually going through this crap!
You think I don't? This is tearing you up inside, and you just want to project everything out so you don't have to deal with it.
I am dealing!
Tempest glares at the other, the shirt in his hand being crumpled within his now tightened fist.
I deal with it every day, knowing that I wasn't there to stop him, knowing that I couldn't save her. Now, we're going all the way to freaking Paris to find some semblance of Tula because of my mistake, and I'm going along with it.
Zephyr looks away, blue eyes downcast as Tempest finishes packing.
If that's not dealing, you have no idea what dealing is.
The leader of Team 5 walks away then, Zephyr finishing up his packing as well. Interior, Titan's main hub, day. Cheshire watches Tempest and Zephyr get on the plane from above, Nightwing walking up beside her.
Something on your mind, Jade?
I remember when it used to be simpler. I'd attack you guys, you'd attack back. We'd be at odds for those few moments of battle. Lick our wounds and then repeat. Now I'm heading to Paris to save some girl I don't even know, because we're working together.
It was different back then. We were just kids.
We were a lot of things, but we weren't kids. We were weapons, used by good and evil. After everything was said and done, you made me an honorary Titan. I thought it would get easier.
It didn't. I don't know where it went wrong, if it was the League leaving or Batman disappearing. Now we're all over the world with kids wanting to play hero.
Cheshire's gaze falls upon Zephyr, who gives a small smile to one of Donna Troy's jokes. She shakes her head slowly.
Do you know who he really is?
Yeah, but I don't know if he knows it yet. Just keep an eye on him, okay? He'll need all of his teammates to support him, not just Garth.
Understood.
The young woman soon boards the plane, soon finding that the rest of her team is on the plane. The four sit in silence, with Bushido fiddling with his thumbs. A long flight was in store. Exterior, Riverside Promenade, Paris, France, afternoon. Many patrons gather to see the Eiffel Tower from a distance, the rain causing most to carry umbrellas. However, in the middle of the commotion, a large area of the space has been commandeered by the police. A young woman with a shock of red hair and dressed in dark colors moves into the middle of this area, using the rain and water around her to cause chaos. Team 5 finds the scene in complete disarray, Bushido and Cheshire moving to calm the crowd, while Tempest and Zephyr go toward the center.
Do you think it's her?
One way to find out.
Tempest and Zephyr finally fight their way through, seeing the culprit. She turns, facing the two without remorse. She takes off her sunglasses, irises the color of aquamarine staring into Tempest's soul. The leader of Team 5 looks at her with awe, feeling all of the air leave his body as the rain continues to pour down on the three of them. It wasn't possible. She was broken after what Aquaman did to her, and yet...
To who?
The young woman does not respond with words, using the water around her to attack the two with a large, watery whip. Zephyr manages to push Tempest out of the way before narrowly dodging the tendril, moving defensively. With his well-placed spell, Zephyr manages to dodge more and more whip strikes, Tempest seemingly unable to move. The young woman, angry with the floating male, transforms multiple raindrops into a thick cube of ice, poised to smash into someone's skull. The mage gasps, using energy to propel himself in front of Garth just before it hits him. Instead, Zephyr is sent over the walkway's railing and plummets toward the waterfront, Tempest snapping back into his senses after he hears his teammates groan of pain. Leaping after him, Garth quickly solidifies the water under him, catches Zephyr, and lands on the now frozen spot of the waterfront. The red-haired hydrokinetic watches the whole thing with a scowl, putting her sunglasses back on and disappearing within the crowd before the rest of Team 5 can converge on her location. Tempest exhales, looking down at his now barely conscious teammate. Interior, Xavier Hotel, Room 101, Paris. Night. Team 5 finds themselves staying at a well-known hotel in Paris, Cheshire's skill in French allowing them into some of the better double rooms. With everyone exhausted from their earlier defeat, there are no objections when Bushido chooses to room with Cheshire and Tempest rooms with Zephyr. Tempest opens his eyes after an hour of light sleep, seeing that Zephyr is still awake and sitting by the room's window. Sitting up in bed, the Atlantean lets a few moments pass before saying something.
Can't sleep?
No. Sort of reminds me of all the times those San Francisco lights kept me up.
Do you miss it?
It's weird. I thought that I would miss everything about home when I signed on to Titans, but I don't.
Really? Why? It's home, isn't it?
It was a place where my parents lived and told me to go into dance and gymnastics along with vocal lessons on Tuesdays after school. I hated it back home, and I never really had friends, if you could believe it.
Happy-go-lucky magic guy with no friends? Yeah, right.
That's the thing, Garth. The kid you know, the one with the smiles, it's all fake. It was always fake.
Didn't they tell you to always tell the truth in preschool?
They did. And then you realize that the world is not one thing at any time. Neither was I, because I decided to adapt.
Had to be tough to live that way.
It was always a good way not to get beat up or stuffed into a locker.
Tempest gets out of bed, moving so that he can sit in front of Zephyr and look him in the eye.
To be honest, you're one of the more trustworthy members of this team, but I can't trust you if I don't know who you really are. Who do you want to be, Zephyr?
Who do you want me to be, Garth?
How about a friend? An ear to listen in the tough times?
You might be shopping in the wrong department.
I know I'm not. Wanna know how?
How?
Because you're someone who cares, remember?
Zephyr smiles a little bit, Tempest patting him on the shoulder.
Get some rest, alright? We'll head out in the morning.
Hey, Garth.
Yeah?
If things went differently today, and it was up to me to act quickly to save you from drowning, be honest with me. Would you trust me to do it?
Of course I would. You're my teammate.
The two smile at each other, Zephyr getting into his bed and turning off his bedside light. Within a few minutes, they both fall asleep, each dreaming of peace. Interior, abandoned warehouse. Paris, midnight. Unbeknownst to the heroes, the red-haired young woman stands in front of a myriad of pictures arranged on a map of the world. Many of the pictures have been crossed out with a red X, with pictures of Team 5 and multiple other heroes having red circles around them. She opens a water bottle, taking a drop of water from it and rolling around her fingers. She looks from picture to picture, eyes stopping when a photo of Tempest is in her sights. With a simple snap, the ball of water forms into a needle of ice and hits right between Tempest's eyes. A malicious grin forms on her lips before she is enveloped in darkness.